All right. Hey guys, we are live and I am excited to be with a special guest today who you are going to get to know. His name is Sean Engmann. He is a realtor with Coldwell Banker out of the really awful place to live called Half Moon Bay, California, which we'll talk about all your suffering in just a minute here, Sean, and how you're taking a bullet for the industry. Okay. So um, but before we jump in, before I get you guys introduced here to Sean, for those that are new to our community, new to me, my name is Coach Travis Robertson. I am the CEO and founder of Don't Settle Coaching, and we are a coaching and training organization that is dedicated to helping real estate agents and professionals just like you all over the country, all over North America, really, build businesses that scale, that earn you the money you want to make, that fund your life. They don't run your life. So we show you how to get control over your lead flow, get those leads to the closing table, because leads are great, but it's the clients that pay the bills. And then ultimately, how do you build a business and a team around this, if that's where you want to take it, where you can start to scale up your income, scale up your free time, your freedom, and start to build a business that really just supports the goals and the dreams that you have for your family. And so I am joined today by Sean Engmann. As I mentioned, Sean, thank you so much for being here and for carving time out of your schedule, because I know you're busy, to really just invest in the community and help others. So thank you for being here, my friend.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So before we kind of get into your business and all of that, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself? Yeah, obviously you're married, kids. Tell everybody kind of your situation. And so, sorry, ladies, it's taken.
Well, I'll try and give the Cliff Notes version, because I can be a little bit long-winded at times with some stuff. But my background is pretty much entrepreneurial. Out of college, I was working as an international project coordinator for a couple of companies. I was in a social media startup, of course, Bay Area. You got to be
Bay Area, like you and everybody else, right?
So I had that. I did a financial data company where I was helping to design and coordinate teams in Bulgaria and then on the East Coast and locally. But I was traveling all over the place. I was flying 200,000 miles a year. Didn't have really time for family or anything else. And then I just decided,
or was it? Did you not get married at that point?
I got married late. I didn't get married until a couple of years ago, and that's a story in and of itself. But
yeah.
I didn't have time for anything. And in my free time, I was coaching baseball. I was refereeing basketball, and so I decided I want to dedicate. I want to focus on building a family. So I tried to get a position where, locally, where I wasn't traveling. It didn't work out too well for me. But in that process, I met my wife. So that was a successful phase of my life, because I did that. Met my wife. I was living in San Francisco and she was on the coast, and she said, you know what, I'm not moving to the city. So I pretty much right away was moving on the coast. And we ended up getting married. We have one kid, and we have one on the way. We got a 2-year-old Shane and a daughter on the way in December.
You got a name? It was really anything you can share yet, or no?
No names or anything like that. All I know is it's a daughter. She's coming in December, and we're thrilled that awesome. About that. I'm glad that we have the order: the son first, then the daughter. I think that's the
built-in protection
for it to go.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, son, here's the deal. Your life depends on her surviving through getting married. Love you, mean it.
I mean, you have a couple of daughters, so
I got 2 girls. Girl dad, man, it's the best. It's the best.
I mean, I'm just because I coached high school baseball for a long time. I know how to deal with teenage kids and all that stuff, and boys going. I have not the first clue what to do with girls, but I do know that if I have a older brother protecting the younger sister, that's part of the battle is done there. So
and she'll be picking fights for him for the rest of his life. She'll just put herself in situations where he's got to step up, man. It's going to be great. But So that's awesome, man. So how'd you end up in real estate? I'm curious. Like, so you went from this corporate, like startup entrepreneurial, like traveling all over the world basically to real estate. What was that? What got you doing real estate?
So, I mean, what really got me interested was when, I decided to buy my first house. So my wife, Kristen, and I, we want to buy a house and, get ready to start a family. And I went through the process and I looked at it, and my loan being a self-employed at the time was kind of complicated, and I had to jump through a lot of hoops. And I figured, well, they're making a decent amount of money doing this, and I'm doing a lot of the work here. I think that, and I had a really good agent too, who was helping me out. And I said,
Yeah,
I could do this, contracts. I do contracts all the time. I
yeah,
negotiate all the time. I think I'd be really good at this. So, pandemic hits, easy excuse. Let's get the real estate license and,
yeah,
and let's just get it going.
yeah. So you get licensed in 2020, right?
Yep.
When were you licensed? When did you kind of hit the ground running and officially start?
I got my license, right around this time in 2020. So
Okay,
end of
so
summer.
August-ish, kind of,
Yeah.
summer, give or take, and so you get licensed, and it's just things just take off, right?
Oh yeah. I was just selling like, no, it was, I
22 is
got
the
my
first month
license
of
and
the
it's,
business. I was like, this is easy, right? So,
yeah,
so,
yeah,
so
I'm
how's it
coming
start?
from a background where, I'm pretty savvy from a business standpoint. I know that some stuff is going to have to happen, but the bureaucracy of even getting my license during the pandemic in 2020 is a story,
Yeah,
because you couldn't take a test anywhere
it's
because
nuts.
everything was closed.
It was nuts.
So,
So you
you
get
know,
licensed. It's crazy, and and
yeah.
and how does it start for you?
So it starts with, all right, yay, I passed my test. I had to fly down to LA to do my test because that's kind of how it was.
Yeah,
But then it's okay. All right, I have a real estate license. Now I got to get clients. And my brokerage at the time, Compass, had a decent kind of training program for newer agents, which is why I chose them.
hmm,
But their training program was, just the stuff that the broker is supposed to train you on. How you don't get sued.
yeah.
How do you, fill out a contract, which
How
I
do you write
pretty
an
much,
offer? How do you,
yeah, I was,
how do you
and
use the
then
systems? All that stuff.
how you navigate how you do a showing, navigating all the COVID rules that we had
Yeah.
then.
Oh, gosh,
But
that's right. I forgot about all
you
that stuff.
know, and they tried to do, some stuff about how to run your business, but pretty much what they were saying was, all right, make a list of all of your friends and family that you have and rate them A, B, C, D,
Yeah,
and then just call them constantly
yeah,
and, see if you can, you know, iron out a deal.
yeah. And it's well intentioned. I mean, brokers are well intentioned. They want to help, but it's not their wheelhouse, and they're focused, like you said, on recruiting, on retention, on not like how do we keep our agents out of the courthouse? Like we just don't want to be sued. We don't like that's their focus, as it should be. And so it's like, well, here's some things that maybe we did 15, 20 years ago. Hopefully it works for you. Call everybody, let them know you're in real estate. And you're like, then what? It's like, okay, when that doesn't work, now what? That's
Right.
where
I
a lot of
mean,
people find themselves.
I'm calling people, high school people and everything else. And I remember there's one college guy, I, would set up to meet him for lunch or something. And then he's like, what is this? You're trying to ambush me for lunch to sell my house? I don't want to even talk to you ever again.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really blame him for saying that,
No.
because that's kind of what you're trained to do is,
Yeah.
and I have a comfort level in ranking my colleagues and friends and, people I went to school with, on an ABCD basis, and
Sorry,
kind of
mom, you're a
say,
C.
hey, by the way, do you know anybody else who wants to sell a house? And
Yeah, it's like dropping referral bombs, as I call them, at the end of conversations. Like, oh, by the way, don't forget to send me your referrals. And it's like, really? Like, that's what that was about?
right, and I'm your realtor for life and all that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
and most of the people, you know, I'm associated with, I have a lot of savvy people in my Rolodex, and a lot of savvy people who know 5 or 10 or 20 other realtors.
yeah.
And I'm not going to go to them, and they're not going to give me a charity. Hey, I just got my license. I've got a $5 million house, as an investment property, and you're going to sell it for me. That's just
Yeah.
doesn't. I wouldn't be comfortable doing that, and I don't think they would be. That's just the level of expertise that I had developed to that point wasn't congruent with going to those people and with an offer,
Mhm.
because if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't give the business to
Right.
somebody who
No.
just got their license, even if they've done a lot of other good things in other industries.
Right. It's well, and that's to your point. These are higher net worth individuals, savvy business people, and this is a large investment for them. And so it's like, yeah, cool. Go learn on my multi-million-dollar deal. That sounds like a great plan. Like it's not how most people think. There's got to be a business that you're building in this. And so you reached out to us. So you got licensed about August-ish, give or take. And you reached out to us towards the end of November, I think that year, kind of end of November, beginning of December 2020.
Right.
And when you did, where was your business at that time?
Zippo.
Zippo.
Zippo. I got
And
some showings and some stuff like that, but I really didn't have systems. I was pretty much coming to you going, look, I need help. Let's build this the right way
yeah,
and get it going.
and you were kind of faced with that challenge, is like your network wasn't going to be the thing that was producing for you, so you had to figure something else out, where it's like, okay, the network will produce over time, and now it does. Like you do business with your network and your sphere and everybody like that, but that wasn't where you could just go fish that pond and pull out tons and tons of deals. So you had to figure out, where are we going to get people into the top of that funnel, right?
Exactly. And again, is from that perspective of where I was, that network, is starting to pay more dividends now, because people see, all right, he's been in business for a few years. He's
Mm-hmm.
done some deals. His stats look good. He can talk the talk. And, so then people start coming to me, with that knowledge. But if I just tried to hit him over the head from the beginning, I wouldn't get any
There's
of
more
those.
respect for how you built it. Now they look at you with a lot more respect than if you had just beat the snot out of them trying to get a sympathy deal.
Right. And, or sent them every recipe known to man and
Don't
all those other fun
forget to
tricks.
turn
And
the clock
here's a
forward on your phone.
notepad and here's all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you. I mean, so you joined end of November, beginning of December 2020, and do you remember how you did? Like, let's take 2021. How did you do in 2021? Do you
I
remember?
did, I did, pretty well in 2021. I ended up, I think, with 5 million in volume that year. Just starting to build things up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in 2021, I had obviously the birth of my son in the middle of that year. I kind of took some time there, and then even in 2022. I had some health issues with my mom and some other legal things that I was dealing with that took my time. But I've been steadily building from 5 million volume then, a little bit more than that in 2022, even though I almost only worked 7 months out of the year pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year it's starting to take off.
Yeah, and so a lot of people go, yeah, 2021, 2022, everybody had great years, but how's he doing in 2023? So where are you at right now so
So
far?
I should be, based on what I have in my pipeline, I should be, 15 million in volume, somewhere in that area.
Fantastic.
Just based on what's already there.
Hmm.
And that doesn't take into account what I'm going to build from, now to the end of the year.
Yeah. So, and we were chatting a few minutes before we went live here, and you mentioned you're like, eh, what you're seeing and what you're experiencing right now is that everybody, you mentioned it, like the market's tough for a lot of people, and yet you're having just a phenomenal year this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm continuing to grow my business, and from where it was phenomenal. But hopefully, when I look back at it next year, hopefully I'm going to be in a much stronger and better position there. And I think the biggest part of my business now is that this year is going to be the first year when I should get probably 75% of my business through listings, as opposed to pretty much exclusively everything was buyers before.
But Sean, didn't you get the memo? You can't get listings right now. Did you not get that memo?
Yeah, no way. Nobody's selling. Nobody's
Nobody's
buying. Nobody's
selling.
doing anything.
Yeah, because everybody's sitting on these really low interest rates, so nobody wants to sell right now. You didn't get that memo?
I didn't get that memo, and I personally sold my house and bought another one with the rates where they were at, and
Yep.
so that's a story that I can tell everybody. What I did is,
Yeah.
if you're in a position where your family's growing, you need a bigger house. There are a lot of opportunities right now to buy, even in this really, really tough market here.
Yeah.
And you get a good return. You get a really good return as a seller too. It's still a seller's market in our area.
Yeah.
So, you know, people aren't beholden from what I'm seeing. The clients that I'm talking to aren't, focused exclusively on interest rates or on other things. Life happens. There's reasons why people have to move,
Yes.
that they may want or may not want.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
let me ask you, I mean, because obviously there's going to be people watching this and they're going to go, "What the heck is he doing? Like, how's this working?" And I know, and we'll give you guys plenty of nuggets here. I promise. You're gonna have some things you can take away from this, and we'll talk through it in just a minute. But I want to kind of go back first because I think it's really important to 2020. You got nothing in the pipeline, and you reach out to us, and you know we say, okay, here's what we can do. We can help you here. You had to have questions in your mind though, like, is it really going to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always questions, and like there are a million realtors, there's a million real estate coaching programs out there
Yeah.
too. And what I really was focused on was finding a program that really fit my personality and gave me an opportunity to grow as a person, because
Mhm.
that's really what had to happen for me to achieve where from where I've gotten from the beginning to where I'm at right now, is just growth as a person.
Yeah.
And we can talk volume and stuff like that all day long, but
What are some of the ways you had to grow and change? Kind of because going from what you did, I'm sure there were a lot of things that carried over really well into this business, but there were also things that I know you and I have chatted over the years that you've become a different person in this process. So what are some of the things that you had to change in order for you to have the success that you're having internally?
I mean, I think the biggest one, was just ego,
Mm.
and identifying ego as a major issue,
What do you
which
mean by that? Like, because ego gets thrown around. What did that look like for you?
so ego is, hard. It's hard to define, but it's doing things, based on kind of my personal view or my personal belief to make me feel good about things. Or for me, it's really because I'm a competitive person, I coach and
Mhm.
everything. It's about winning. I
Yeah.
need to win this deal. I need to win this. I need to win that. And getting behind. The best example was even my house that I was, when I was selling my house. Uh, I had it listed. I made a little bit of a mistake on the square footage when I was selling it. It was non-contingent. Everything was disclosed properly, and then the buyer decided at the last minute, I'm just gonna back out. And
Oh,
2 days before we were going to close, and that almost put my other purchase in jeopardy. And so I'm at a point where I was pissed at the buyer, and I'm going, all right, we're going to fight, and I'm going to keep his deposit. We're going to do everything else. And based on kind of talking to Coach Ryan and talking to, reading some books and talking to my wife, it's like, you know what, $40,000 or whatever the deposit's going to be, I'm going to be tied up in court for 2 years. I'm going to be doing deposit. I'm going to be stuck in that. And I'm not going to, it's $40,000. It's a couple of deals.
mm-hmm.
My better focus is how do I make a couple of deals happen, as opposed to continuing that fight. And then even worse, harboring the animosity towards the other side.
It'll kill you.
You can't grow when you have that kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
And it was a revelation to me, because there were a lot of things that I was doing in all areas of my life that were, I'm focused on winning and, needing to, outdo the other side or outmaneuver or whatever. And nobody really cares about that other than me. And it's inhibiting my business, because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
My ability to grow or my ability to focus on other things, and keep eating away my time. And worse, it's just making me angry all the time.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that. And so ego was one of those areas where personally you're like, man, I got to grow in this area. Anything else, any other areas that you feel like, looking back at Sean Engmann, from 2020 to who you are today, what else have you seen change?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about a little bit on the phone calls and stuff like that. And it's, when I came in, it's, oh, you got to call your sphere and everybody else and constantly do that. And, I always had a fear of, if I'm calling people, I feel like I'm harassing them, or I'm, getting them upset at me, or I don't want to do that, and didn't want to make my calls. And it's something I'm still trying to work through, but it's really a mindset thing. Because if we're doing the system the way that you teach the system, and we're getting people to raise their hand, towards an offer, the mindset is, this person has clicked on this, ad for a reason and requested information for a reason. And I'm doing my job and trying to serve them by following up on it.
Yeah.
Because they need my services as a realtor.
Yep.
And having that mindset is huge, because, most of the time you're not making contact the first time or the second time that you're calling. It's amazing, recommitting to a 3-day follow-up plan. On day 3, how many of those phone calls are coming in and, talking to somebody?
It's not rocket science. And that's the part of it that, there's the plan, and then there's, working the plan like anything else. And I love what you said there, is that it's a commitment to the process. It's a commitment to the process, because how many people, Sean, have you seen over the years that start, but they don't commit to the process? Agents in the office, agents in the market, where it's like, they want, we call it internally, order taking versus sales making. They're order takers. When the referrals come and they're like, oh, wow, I'm really good at sales. No, you're really good at taking orders. Referrals are orders. But when you have to go out, like we're in the market we're in right now, and the economy we're in right now, the orders aren't coming for people. It's, you got to know how to go out and make sales. And you really embraced, as part of that growth, what I've seen and talking with Coach Ryan and you about it, is you've embraced the idea of being a sales maker, but not the cold call, pound the phone, smile and dial, just like or door knocking, like all the things that people think that entails, but just having really great conversations with really great people about opportunities that are really great in the real estate market, and helping them buy or sell. Like, it's just a whole different attitude, a whole different mindset. And you've really embraced that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's another part of it is you have control over who you want to work with too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of other people, Everybody who's in our field has worked with people that they don't want to work with.
Yeah.
And if I'm calling somebody and I get a bad vibe on the phone with them, I can just as easily say, you know what, I don't need to do that. And what I really appreciate about it, because this is another area of where I've grown over the course of the years, is my first year, I invested fairly heavily in Zillow because that's pretty much the only thing that was anywhere near reliable. It was helpful that I got him to sign a buyer rep agreement in order to have to be able to go see the house, but that I go there, but I was a slave to Zillow. They call, I'm on a walk with my wife and our dogs, and Zillow calls, and I missed the call, and I'm like, God,
Yeah.
frustrated about it. And
Yeah.
now I'm at a point where Zillow calls, and I'm in the middle of something else, with my family. I can just say, you know what,
This is
I
such a
missed the
great,
call, no big deal.
such a great point, Sean, is that when you have control over your lead flow, guys, and what Sean's saying is that when you control that lead flow, you control everything. You control clients. You don't have to work with the jerk clients. I'm looking at you, Sean, but I should look up here at the camera for a minute and just say, you don't have to work with the jerk clients. You don't have to be a slave, as I think was your word to it, Sean, where you're just a slave to your phone and to, oh my gosh, somebody's calling and I'm in the middle of dinner with the family and I have to take it because I don't know when the phone's going to ring again. And what if it doesn't ring for another week? And that's where so many people live, in that feast or famine, like at the mercy of referrals, at the mercy of their network, at the mercy of some lead service or whatever it is, that when all of a sudden you have control over the lead flow and you know how to get those leads to appointments and you know how to get those appointments to the closing table, then you're the one who gets to determine, like, no, I want to be off. I want to be present with my family, with my wife, with my son, and with my future daughter that's coming. And all like, you've just got an incredible family, Sean, and you get to be an incredible dad, an incredible husband, because you have that control. I think people really need to hear that.
I mean, I think it's important, because even, one of the things that you talk about is the system works if you work the system.
Yep.
And it takes, that's really a very true statement because, again, part of my ego thing was, well, we do that. I try and put my spin on everything, and it just having to just audit yourself and hit the reset button. So nope, you got a system in place. Let's just turn off your brain for a second, follow the system. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember my first year, I'm still doing a lot of the Zillow stuff. We had my son was born in July, and I'm still all right. We're still in money making mode and everything else. And before I went to your event in Sarasota in October, and that was really a transformative experience for me to go there
Mm-hmm.
and just talk to the other agents, other clients of yours, and learn how important it was, the balance of everything. And my wife said when I came back from that I came back a different person because she hadn't really vocalized it as much to me, but she was like, Sean, most people when they have a kid take time off and spend the time with the kid and do all that, and you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day working and trying to build your business.
Yeah.
And that was, without her even having to say it, I shifted my kind of mentality and my beliefs and prioritize things the way they needed to be prioritized, because it became self-apparent, what we're doing this for and why we're doing it. And, so that's kind of a constant thing. And it's still going to be something that I'm going to have to, talk to Coach Ryan about and keep myself in check. It's,
Well,
keep
you're a
working
driven
the
person.
system and do that. Yeah.
You're a driven person, and that's like I'm the
Exactly.
same way. I have those accountability things set up, because like I've never met something I can't work at. Like I love to work. I have a pretty strong work ethic, and thank God for Lisa, who is like, hey, that's awesome, but we do need you over here too. And she keeps me in check, and I have other people in my life who keep me in check. And it's important because and you have a great work ethic, Sean. That was something that we noticed right away. Like, it was never an issue of, is Sean going to do the work? You do the work. And so for you guys to be able to have that balance, for you to have that family life, I think is that, to me, more than anything. Like, I love hearing that. Love hearing that. Yeah, you're making a ton of money, and that's awesome too. But all the money in the world doesn't serve if your relationship with your spouse sucks. You have no relationship with your kids. It's like, we want you to be rich and have an amazing home life, because that's where true wealth is really found, you know?
Right. I mean, to me, where I want to grow my business, is I want to grow my business to the point where I can create more leverage so
Yeah.
that I can, have more of that time. I had the, conversation with my wife pretty, right around the time when we went to Sarasota, and it was, what is your goal? She asked me, what is your goal in real estate? What do you want to do? And I said, my honest answer was, my goal isn't to be the top agent in the area. My goal isn't to do any of that stuff. My goal is to do enough to be able to fund a comfortable life
Yeah.
so that I have the ability to coach my kids in softball or baseball, or and do whatever I need to do to spend time with the family, because that's really what I want to do.
Yeah. That's so good. It's so good. So let me ask you, I mean, because I know everybody watching here is like, what are the, like, I want some nuggets. I want some nuggets. I want some things that are working right now for you. So let me ask you, I mean, right now, obviously you're like you said, you're about 75% of your business right now is coming from listings. What's something right now that you're finding working really well for you?
I think it's just meat and potato stuff. There's no shiny objects. I mean, I look for all the shiny objects everywhere, and I still try and test out shiny objects to
And you
see if
should.
there's,
Like, we talk about testing all the time. Like, you want to be
you know. But at the end of the day, it's, you know investing in the right lead sources. Primarily Google ads for me is where
Mhm.
I'm getting most of my business from.
Yep.
I You had a module on it which I watched and learned enough to be able to say, okay, I know enough now to know if somebody's screwing me over on something. I'm going to farm it out to somebody else. They're going to run my ads, and they're doing a good job on that. But it's those ads, and then just the 3-day follow-up plan and following up, and just doing the stuff that you need to do. Log stuff in your CRM, make appointments with yourself to follow up, just basic business stuff.
It's
Z
actually
buyer's been
running
another thing
running
that's,
running a sales organization. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Where you
yeah, I mean, it's, and it's easy. I come across as a pretty kind of regimented person, but I can get into ad hoc stuff all day long. And that's one thing that, I want to try and avoid, because as soon as, I've seen enough businesses have problems when management is acting in an ad hoc way. When you show up at the desk and, okay, what are we going to do today? you know that might work for a little bit, but that's gonna wear everybody out.
Well, that's how
And it's
most
not.
realtors treat their business. Is they show up and they go, I don't know who I'm going to call today. I don't know what I'm going to do today.
Yeah, I mean, and I have a list, through my CRM, where who am I calling today? Have my notes, have everything up. It's just, you know, do the calls, and then schedule every time I do something, schedule the next step and have somewhere to put them in that.
Yeah.
One thing that really helped me out, a lot, was there was a call that you had with Jason Miller where he outlined how he did his CRM.
Yep.
And that opened my eyes to, okay, well, this is a better way to organize the CRM, to do it that way. Um, and there's a logical process behind everything, and there's a next step to everything. And so, I've implemented that as, not exactly the same thing, but I've implemented a pretty similar model to that, and it's allowed me to be more productive. And it's amazing how many times, you follow up with somebody and, it turns into a business opportunity just from picking up the phone and calling somebody.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we've worked with Jason now for 12 years, 13 years, whatever it is, like long time now. And it's fun because these are things we set up in his business way back then. And it's so fun because there's people that'll reach out to him and be like, yeah, I've been in your database. You guys have been reaching out to me for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, and we're finally ready to move forward. And it's like this incredible pipeline that now he could turn off his ads and still be doing business for a while. And it's not all just ad based. It's the whole process. It's everything. It's knowing there's so many different ways to get leads, but then when you get those leads, you got to know it's not a one size fits all approach. You got to know that process. Like you were saying, within the 3-day follow up, there's a structure, but then knowing what to say, how to say it, and just drive those things forward. And you're doing the work, and I love it, man. Like it's been so fun to see. So I'm curious, when you think about your business over the last few years, like you've had some incredible growth, especially as you're headed into 2023 when everybody else is just slowing down, you're just ramping up. What's next for you? What do you think is kind of the next stage of growth for you?
Well, I mean, the next stage of growth for me is just, proving that I can continue to sustain what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully as things grow up, I think trying to get it, trying to move into a team model is the next stage for me.
Yeah, you're gonna make
As soon as I have too much I can handle, that's the next stage, and that's where I'd like to go. I think that, my strengths are really well suited towards being a team lead.
Yeah. Now, when you kind of got started, I kind of going back here for a second. I mean, when you think about people right now that are on the fence, that are just kind of where you were back in November, nothing in the pipeline, nothing closed, November 2020, excuse me, not back this past November, but November 2020, so here you are, you're newly licensed, you just got started, you got nothing in the pipeline. COVID's just like blowing up the world. Everything's going nuts. And you're sitting there just go, man, I don't have anything going on. And right now there's somebody watching this who's in a very similar situation. And maybe they've reached out to our team, they've got a call scheduled, or maybe they're wondering, should I schedule a call? Should I reach out to these guys? What would you tell them? What would you encourage them with?
I mean, I think the first thing that they need to do is decide, do you want to be in this field or not? If you're at if you want to be that, and that's exactly where I was. I'm at zero sales 4 months into the business, no revenue. I'm out 10, 20, whatever grand on whatever I was spending at the time, and a lot of time on the training. And it's a come to Jesus moment. It's all right. Do I want to, is real estate for me? Because real estate for me, I've got to invest in something it's like anything else. You don't show up, to a high paying job on day one without having gone to college or having had any training. Or if you're an electrician, you don't just show up at a job site and do it. You need to learn. You need to invest in getting the skill set. And, I mean, there's a lot of different coaches and a lot of different programs and everything else. I thought that your program resonated very well with me. It was a very business centric one. It was very straightforward. Here are the steps to do it. There's other programs that focus on referrals and other stuff like that. But I think the main thing is just commit to what you want to do.
Yep.
And if you want to go into the business and you want to have success, you need to get a coach. You need to learn how to do it, and you need to make the investment in it, because I've never seen people just doing this part-time be very successful at it.
Yeah.
It just, you need to, treat it like any other business. And that's kind of what I'd have to
No,
say.
I think that's such wise advice, Sean, because most people come into this business and they don't realize they're CEO now. You are now the CEO of a real estate sales organization. And the cool thing about you, Sean, and a lot of our other clients is that shift. You had it because you had a business background. You had that thinking of like, I'm starting another business. Where a lot of people come in and like, I'm going to get my real estate license. My broker is going to help me. And it's like, your broker can be extremely well intentioned, but they're not going to help you. Like, that's just not on the whole what they're going to do. You've got to own your outcomes and your results. And that's how CEOs think. And you've carried that and you've grown in that a tremendous amount, and you've done the work, and I love seeing it. So I think that's just incredibly wise advice. And so let me ask you, I mean, right now you serve what markets? So the people who want to send you business, send you referrals, like, guys, send Sean your referrals. Like, he's going to take phenomenal care of them. You'll report back to people, let them know what's going on so that they don't have to wonder, like, is it going into like, how many times, guys, have you sent a referral into like this black hole and you're like, I sure hope, like, what's actually going on? Like, Sean, I know you'll keep everybody well posted as to what's happening. So you live in Half Moon Bay. For people that don't know quite where that is, tell them what areas you serve, what markets you serve. It's kind of a big range of areas that you work in. So kind of tell everybody where that is.
Yeah. So, I live and work out of Half Moon Bay, which is about 30 miles south of San Francisco, but I spent most of my time in San Francisco. I serve pretty much San Francisco, San Mateo County, and
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes a little bit south of that, but primarily San Mateo County and San Francisco.
So
That's where my wheelhouse is.
awesome. And we'll obviously drop the link below and everything. But where can people find you? Where can they go to get a hold of you? Give them all the like deets about how to connect with you.
Well, I mean, the best way, I mean, I'm old school. I'm not one of, I don't have like a hashtag here or anything like that. But, you go to my website at smerealtor.com. That's pretty easy.
So
You can,
S is in Sam, M is in Mary, E like your name, Sean. Is it Michael? Your middle name?
Sean Michael Engmann.
Sean
Yes.
Michael Engman. See, I know.
There you
And
go.
and so what is it? It's SME
Realtor.com.
Realtor.com. So that's where you guys can get all the information on Sean. By the way, guys, do me a favor, do Sean a favor, give him like some love in the comments. Make sure, I meant to say that up top, like, give him some love in the comments, hit the like button, the heart button, let him know you guys appreciate you carving out this time. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys have questions, drop them below. We'll make sure and get in there, answer all your questions. It's hard to do the questions live when, focused on talking here to my buddy. And so, Sean, thank you so much. Any kind of parting thoughts of wisdom you want to leave people with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the program has been just super valuable for me, both in my business, more importantly, in my life in general. It's a great fit. And one other thing that I just didn't mention that I want to add is, if you're in the position as you're starting, don't look for something that you're going to want to try out for a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, what you're going to do is you're not going to commit to anything, and you're going to just waste the money that you spent on the month. So make sure you commit to whatever you need to do to commit to it and make that decision. You won't regret it.
Such good advice, Sean. It doesn't matter whether it's us or somebody else. Commit, guys. Just plan to be in it. Some of you, let's say you're 45, 50 years old. You've had 45 to 50 years to create all your habits, all your patterns, all your thought processes. Like, give a coach, whether it's us or somebody else, more than 45 days to fix what you screwed up in 45 years. All right. Like, give us a little bit of time here and give your coach some time, and make sure that you're investing and committing to yourself, to your lead flow, to your business. And that's such great advice, Sean. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for being here, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything.
It's my pleasure, man. And guys, go to SMERealtor.com, connect with Sean, send him your referrals, create those relationships, send business back and forth, and go make it a powerful, powerful week, everybody. And we'll see you on the next training. Sean, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.